Hey everyone, how you doing? I'm here with another knife review. Going to be reviewing the Benchmade 950 Rift today. Pretty cool knife. I've had it for a long time and thought it would be good to finally give you guys a little insight on my thoughts and experience with it. There are a lot of different versions of this knife that you can get. This particular one has a satin finish. Actually, it's a bead blast finish now that I look at it. On the blade, it has the reverse-tanto blade that I've grown very fond of. It has a laminated Grey&Black G10 handle. It has a 3.7-inch blade made of 154 cm blade steel, and it weighs in at roughly 4.8 ounces. As you can see, it has steel liners that have just been blackened. All the hardware is black, including the pillars and the stop bar, and these really cool kind of gear pattern almost thumb studs. Looks really nice. Comes with that interesting looking pocket clip. It works fine. And what stood out to me about this knife was the aesthetics. It's a it's a flat grind all the way up until you get to the flats here, and then you have a big fat swedge on the back. Very strong tip with that reverse tanto. And I really liked the laminated or layered look from all of the milled lines that they have going in here. It was really nice. So it was really just aesthetics, and I'm a Benchmade fan, so I wanted to pick one up. So this knife is kind of a mid-size folder in my opinion. It's really similar to kind of a Griptilian if you compare it to this one that also has G10 handle. Very similar. This is kind of, I pieced together myself, but it's kind of similar to the 550 Griptilian with the sheep's foot blade. And similar in weight. This particular one is 4.5 ounces, but when you get these without the G10 handles, there's standard, I forget what it is, some sort of polymer handle. It's even lighter weight. I think it's usually less than 4 ounces, so it really lightens it up. But with the G10, it's very similar. The Griptilian handles are a little bit thicker. These are what I call like a pseudo contouring. It's a flat piece of G10 that they used on the Rift here. But with the way they milled it downward, it kind of took off and put an angle on the front and back. So it kind of made it like similar to an actual contoured handle, where all the Griptilians actually are contoured, the whole length of the handle. So very comfortable in hand, the Griptilian, but it's very similar in size, and as you can see, these particular versions are both flow through. So very similar, and I just want to make that comparison. So it's kind of mid-size, like the Griptilian is. There's larger ones out there. I'll show you a couple, and there's smaller as well. So it kind of fits in between. One thing I noticed when I first picked up the Rift, which goes for right around 165, 170 bucks, depending on where you get it. One of the first things I noticed was when I put it in my hand is the edge of the G10 was very sharp. And so I took sandpaper and I just sanded all of the edges and I just rounded everything off. Now it's very comfortable in the hand, but it was pretty sharp, and it was really aggressive with all these ridges. There's almost points that would stick up and kind of dig into your hand on the back of the blade when you're cutting really hard. And this blade actually, it's not really showing it very well. Let me get my finger smudges off of it first. But it's actually been through a hell of a lot of use, and it's really held up well. I mean, I took off some of that bead blast sort of finish, and there's some minor scratches, but it's held up really well. It never rusted on me. I mean, I do take care of my blades, and I always wipe them down and stuff like that. Put my own edge on there. It's held an edge pretty well. The 154 cm is not the most premium of steels, but it's no slouch. It's tried and true. It's done a great job, and I think it's pretty easy to sharpen up, which I thought was nice. And it can take a crazy sharp edge. So very nice design overall. Again, I think because it is a little thinner, it's nicer in the pocket than the Griptilian is. But because it is thinner, it's not quite as nice as the Griptilian is in the hand. Also, the design is very cool looking, almost kind of aggressive, the handle. But down where your fingers go, it almost reminds me of like a Snody. I think it's Mike Snody, if I'm saying that right. Maybe it's Snooty. I've had a couple of his knives. He's a custom knife maker. He does kind of this taper towards the end he's known for. And it feels like if it was a bar of soap and you're squeezing out, it would just slip right out because of that taper. And that's what this reminds me of. It's never slipped out of my hand. It's always stayed put. But because it tapers so much towards the end here, it almost feels like it wants to slip out. But it never has. It's actually been secure. It's kind of hard to describe. But nonetheless, it's very comfortable in the hand. Now that I sanded that down out of the box, it really wasn't that comfortable. So something to consider. You might want to take a little sandpaper to it. They may have come out with different models of this knife with different blade steel. I'm not sure. I do know they've come out with different coatings. They've had black coating. I've seen them with stonewash. I've seen full black G10 instead of this laminated or layered gray and black, which I think looks awesome. I've seen some limited editions come out here and there, but this is the model that I liked the most for the Rift. Very solid lockup. There's zero blade play in any direction. Well, there's zero blade play front to back. There's a tiny little bit of side to side, very little. And I've tweaked the pivot the best I can. I can get rid of it, but then it really slows down the deployment and makes the action a little bit gritty and not near as smooth. Now, very smooth, very fast deployment. And it's kind of a sweet spot, but there is a little bit of side to side, not a lot, just barely. I also like the way it looks when it's all folded up, just the way the peaks kind of stagger between the peaks of the blade grind, just so cool looking. And again, that's really what drew me into this knife, besides the fact that it's a Benchmade. I just like the looks of it. I thought it was pretty awesome looking. Now you can switch the pocket clip, as you can see, to the other side and make it left-hand carry. Nice thing about the axis lock is that it is ambidextrous, which is nice if you're a righty or a lefty. It's going to work just fine for you. So very nice knife. I think it does work well as an everyday carry knife. I think it's a little too slick to be really called a tactical knife. I personally wouldn't put it into that category. I think it's a good EDC and a good utility or camping knife. I really do. It's got this blade just does it for me. It's one of the best utilitarian blade designs I've ever tested, and I've tried all sorts of blade designs. So this is one of my favorites. It's got great penetration capability. This is an old design they used to do in a lot of battle swords and shit like that, where they would have a very dramatic broadening by the tip, and then it would taper back down. And that's to allow you to pierce and penetrate into things. It also gives you really good tip strength on your knife, so you don't have to worry about that tip just snapping off because it's such a fine point. Very sharp tip, so you can do nice work with it. You have good belly, but because of this reverse tanto, you have a lot of extra meat up here, a lot of extra steel up here. So it's very sharp, but it's very durable. So I'm a big fan of that. I do think it would be really cool if Benchmade would have milled out the liners. These steel liners really add a lot of weight. They're just solid steel going through both sides there. And I think that would have been a really good idea. They could have even done some sort of subframe, partial frame like they did on the Griptilian. That would have been nice too, but that would have lightened it up even more, and I think that would have been even cooler. So, pretty sweet knife. Some comparisons. There is the Contigo. It is basically the Rift on steroids, and it is a tactical folder in my opinion. This is a KnifeWorks exclusive version that you're seeing here. Again, that laminated G10, you have the blue and black. It looks pretty awesome. And this particular one comes in M390 steel. Quite a bit bigger. I really do think it's a good tactical folder. As you can see, it does also have steel liners running through it, but you can see they've been milled out with those circles in there. So that's pretty awesome. And you also have all these spikes here. I don't know if you can see that. They're literally the steel spikes that are extending from the steel liners. And you also have that on the back steel backspacer here. And it is extremely aggressive jimping. And I would highly recommend, if you were going to do any hard cutting with the Contigo, that you wear gloves, because it probably wouldn't be conducive to skin. But that's another reason why I put it into the tactical role. Ergonomically, I mean, there are similarities in the curvature of these handles. You know, especially up towards the bolster area, it's very, very similar. Okay, in the back, you have this kind of a thumb ramp, and it sweeps down. This one sweeps out a little bit more, but very, very similar. Underneath is where you see some more dramatic changes. This has a big, like, dual finger choil right here, and then instead of rounding out like a lot of the SOGs do, it kind of curves up again, which is a lot more ergonomic, and it really locks your hand in there. That's the way to do it. This one kind of does that, but it's just really for like your pinky, right? So this Contigo, however you say it, feels a lot more ergonomic, a lot more comfortable, and you have a lot more traction. So I think, you know, everything that the Rift can do, the Contigo can do, plus tactical. The Rift is obviously going to be a little bit more realistic for everyday carry. Contigo's 5.7 ounces, so you know it's a little less than a full ounce more, but it's got a lot more knife there. And I think that they were able to do that again because they milled out the liners. It probably shaved off probably half an ounce maybe. But again, they're very similar, not only in their handle design, but the blade. They both have that very similar reverse-tanto design with the swedge on the back and everything. So again, extremely utilitarian, great blade. Both of them are outstanding. The Contigo, much like the 940 here, has a longer, more slender, more straight design of blade, and then it just kind of darts down with the reverse-tanto there. The Rift kind of has broader, and then it gradually tapers and narrows towards the end. So they're all very similar blade designs. They all have that reverse-tanto with the swedge on the back. But I think that most similarly, aside from size obviously, in design, the 940 and the Contigo, the Rift is a little bit more unique because I just feel like overall it tapers a little bit more towards the end. But I think these are all very similar knives based on design in the Benchmade lineup. I think that, you know, this is going to be more heavy, mid to heavy cutting. The Rift is going to do well in. I think, you know, mid to light for the 940, and it's pretty much the perfect everyday carry knife. It's only 2.5 ounces. And then again, the Contigo is kind of more of your, I can do everything these guys can do, but I'm going to be a bit heavier, I'm going to be way bigger, and I'm also going to kick ass with tactical applications. So I think that really sums up, you know, where the Rift fits in. You know, the Rift is the one that I really haven't seen a whole lot of variations with blade steel. The 940s, I think they've come with like 154cm, S30V, S90V, maybe an occasional like a D2 or something like that. Maybe there's other ones too I haven't seen. I've seen Damascus for some of the gold line. The Contigo has come out with, I think it initially came out with M4 steel, which is a very good steel. It sucks with corrosion and rust, so they put a coating on there. As you wear it, that coating comes off. That steel rusts very easily. And M390, which you can get it in, I think is much better personally. Actually, I'll tell you, it is a better steel. It cuts just as well, if not better, probably pretty close to the M4. But it's going to be a little bit harder to sharpen. That was the nice thing about the M4, is it's really easy to sharpen up, but it's also really easy to start rusting. Not so with the M390. So You know, these two have really given you a lot of different options to choose from, or at least more than one option to choose from with blade steel. The Rift, I just haven't seen something else. Feel free to comment if you guys have seen other options in blade steel other than the 154 cm blade steel. I just haven't seen it. And it's not, in my opinion, 154 cm is not a premium blade steel, but it's a good one. So, you know, they probably don't give you a whole lot of other options based on demand. I guess, if it was my guess, that there's some other blades that Benchmade has put out that are selling much better, probably the Griptilian. This is a very similar size and category to what the Griptilian fulfills, I think. And I think that everybody knows the Griptilians sell like crazy. They're a wonderful knife, and that's probably why they haven't released a whole lot of other variations in this knife. Yes, different types of material and finishes for the handles and different coatings on the blade, but I haven't seen any other blade steel. And I think it would be kind of cool if they maybe, you know, milled out and lightened it up a little bit. Maybe threw in like a premium version of it like they did the 940-1. Maybe they could do a 950-1. Hint, hint, Benchmade. I think that'd be pretty cool. Lighten it up, mill out the steel liners, give us some like S90V blade steel. That'd be pretty cool, or M390 or 204P, whatever you can get your hands on. Maybe put some stonewash finish or something cool on there, and yeah, that'd be cool. Also, like I said, round that off. Put a chamfer on the edge because it is very aggressive and not comfortable in the hand out of the box. I think if they did all that, man, that would be pretty awesome. That would be pretty stellar. One other thing that I highly recommend, Benchmade, put some jimping on here, or at least on the thumb wrap here. That'd probably be easier because I know it's close to the thumb stud, so if you started putting jimping, it might get a little close to that hole. What I would recommend is bring it up just a little bit higher so you have room to put jimping, because honestly, like, your hand is comfortable right here using that thumb wrap, but if you really want to choke up on the knife, it's pretty cool to put your thumb right here. It really feels good, and it would be nice to have some jimping. Anyway, I hope you liked the review. This is the Benchmade Rift. It's a really cool knife, and I think for 165 bucks it's a pretty good option. However, if I had to choose between it and a good old Griptilian, sorry, the Griptilian's going to get it every time. Thanks again for watching. Please feel free to leave me some comments. I always welcome them. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't liked, please like. Thanks again and have a great day.